What's up, guys? Well, we've got episode 7 of Dexter New Blood titled Skin of Her Teeth, which is a pretty good title considering some of the events of this episode. So now we are firmly in the third act of the show. We are now setting up things for the end game. And pretty good episode. A lot more classic Dexter elements for me because he's now doing the forensics work for his girlfriend. He's now getting back into, solving mysteries and trying to put the pieces together. And this felt very much like a classic Dexter episode where he's trying to stay a step ahead of somebody and unfortunately finds out that that person is about 12 steps ahead of him. So some things about this episode that I did like. I liked the fact that we got a lot more interaction between Dexter and Kurt now that they pretty much know each other's motivations and they know that each other are going to be antagonists for each other's plans. And I love the whole reveal to where Dexter is, sitting nonchalantly in the diner and they have that little calm conversation, brings him a piece of cake, and he knows that the cops are going to be eventually swarming in to get Kurt. But eventually by the end of the episode, Kurt all but lets Dexter know, I know you killed my son. I've known for a while. And we as an audience don't even really know what that means yet. Like he has this guy send him the titanium pin from his son's leg and lets him know, that night when I was drunk and it was snowing, when I really felt like we were going to be friends, got home and I realized that was Ash. And that's all they really need to know, and Dexter puts all the pieces together that eventually Kurt probably went to this incinerator and found these pins and realized that it was his son in there. And how he figured out it was Dexter, I'm not exactly sure, but nonetheless, I like the fact that they didn't give a whole lot away as far as what Kurt's plan is, because he clearly has something set in motion for Dexter. He clearly has been doing something to screw Dexter over or to set Dexter up or just eventually lead to their clash that we haven't really gotten the information for yet. So I like that detail that they held that back, that they just let us know that Kurt knows and he's known for a while and Dexter hasn't realized that he knows, and that was a really nice detail. I also liked the interaction that we got with Dexter and I always forget her name, but his girlfriend, the sheriff. I thought that it was cool that they kind of worked together, and it was very much kind of going back to Dexter and Deb and how they used to work together, where Deb would give him a theory and he would kind of operate off of that. And obviously she doesn't know that he has these serial killer instincts and has all this knowledge and all this experience to where he can put the pieces together a lot quicker than she realizes. But I thought that was a cool throwback. Again, giving those classic Dexter elements to where he goes to a crime scene, figures certain things out, realizes it was a gunshot, realizes that she was buried alive, finds the skin underneath that tooth, and all the while she just kind of delivers this trusting theory that it's Kurt, which Dexter all but pretty much knew that Kurt was a killer anyway. And then eventually leading to him telling her about that secret room that he had stripped completely clean, leading to the arrest of Kurt, and a really cool, really cunning way that you have Clancy Brown get into this situation, never really feel scared, and immediately give this bullshit story that completely exonerates him. It makes him a really cool and calculated villain, to where we really haven't seen this guy aside from a couple of moments with the runaway girl that he had to shoot when she wasn't running away and when he was punching her in her dead skull. We really haven't seen this guy erupt too much. He seems very in control and very calm and very 10 steps ahead of everybody else, and that whole scene kind of solidified that as well. Setting forth some interesting breadcrumbs for the sheriff and for the podcast girl to kind of follow, to where they're starting to put the pieces together that something wasn't quite right about Jim's story about how he got the information of Kurt and how he followed them to that cabin. I'm curious where that's going to go. I mean, obviously by the end of this season, I'm sure, especially if this is a final season, if they're not going to take the popularity of this revival and make it multiple seasons, that they're going to do something to where Dexter reveals his identity as a killer to somebody. And so it's an interesting little breadcrumb trail that they're starting to put the pieces in place to where somebody could potentially figure that out. And it seems a little bit far-fetched that the podcast girl hasn't recognized him up to this point anyway, being that she's covered the Bay Harbor Butcher and the Trinity Killer. Speaking on the Trinity Killer, let's move on to some things about this episode that I was either a little mixed on or things that I didn't really care for. Now, it's not the episode or the show's fault that the tabloids blew up the fact that John Lithgow was going to be coming back, and it's also potential that we could see him more. We still have, 8, 9, and 10 left. But if this small little moment was all we get out of John Lithgow, I kind of wish that I didn't know about it, because I wouldn't have had it built up in my head that we're going to get some kind of a scene between, you know, maybe Harrison and John Lithgow as his dark passenger or something like that. It was literally just John Lithgow in these little dream segments to where Harrison's talking about these images that he keeps getting of his mother's death, and they keep showing like angles of his leg or angles of the razor blade, and then he just kind of, it gives a POV shot of Harrison as a baby, and he's like, oh, now, your father will be home soon. I mean, it was a cool touch, but when I saw that and that was it, I was like, oh, please don't tell me that's all we're going to get of John. So that was the one thing that I was kind of mixed on. As far as negatives, and I've kind of led into this the past couple of episodes, I'm really getting tired of the interaction between Dexter and Harrison. It's just so one note now. And again, I understand the logic behind Dexter's inability to connect with his son and inability to connect with anybody in general. I understand the logic behind Harrison having this angst and this anger towards his father and this distance. But every single interaction we get with these two characters is always the same. They start a conversation, Harrison starts to be a little dickhead, and then they walk away and the conversation gets cut off. And it's that way every single time, even to the point where you get this scene in this episode to where Harrison is about to get jumped by the wrestlers from the opposite school, the one that he snapped the captain's arm, and he pulls out his little straight razor and just makes one move against the kids. Dexter stops him, they all run away, and then they have this moment to where Harrison's like, fuck it, yes, I'm messed up, I'm screwed up, I have all these memories, I have all this darkness. And right when they're actually about to start to have a moment to connect in a conversation, he just storms off and runs away, and Dexter's like, Harrison! Fuck it, and then pulls out his cell phone, and it's just like, dude, this is getting run dry. This whole concept of them not being able to talk is just getting aggravating at this point. Like, I understand the big reveal probably by the end of the season is going to be that Harrison is actually has these killer instincts, and Dexter's going to be like, hey, I have them too. That's why I had to leave. And they're going to finally connect and understand each other. But goddamn, like every interaction they have, it just feels like wash, rinse, repeat the same scenario. And it makes me dislike the character of Harrison, because I can't help but love Dexter for all the faults that he has and for all the fault that he has in this situation. I can't help but love him. Harrison's an intriguing character to certain degrees, but the only flavor we've gotten from this character is just angry, pissed off teenager for 7 episodes, and it's just starting to really run dry for me. And I'm not sure how I feel. This probably goes back to the mixed, honestly. I'm not really sure how I feel about the little bit of a revelation we get about why Kurt kills and how he started killing, and what some of the context is for his method of killing, his whole process. Essentially, his father used to take women off of the street, and I don't know if he was raping them or beating them or just being a dick or just screwing all of them. I don't know, but it messed up Kurt a little bit as a kid to where he picks up Iris, and he's like in his 20s, and he's driving her away, and he's like, no, girls like you can't be on the streets. I'm going to drive you to safety. And she freaks out, naturally, since he's being a little bit of a creep, runs away, and his solution is to grab a high-powered rifle and just shoot her in the back. And so they could give more context to this, but essentially from the information they've given is that he's trying to save all of these girls, and that's the way that he saves them, is by giving them a safe place off of the street and then fucking killing them. It just, again, crazy people do crazy things. Maybe we're not supposed to understand it, but that's a little bit of a weird explanation for the very crazy ritual that they've given us so far that Clancy Brown does. So I don't know how I feel about that. We'll have to see if they give a little bit more context to it, or if I start to understand it more. And that's really all there is to talk about with this episode. It was a really good episode, but there's not like a ton of things to unpack yet. Just pretty much those main things that I nailed here. I enjoyed it. Just a couple of things that I'm starting to wear thin on that I hope that now that we're in the third act, now that things are really going to get going, now that Dexter with the final scene is being taken somewhere, that Kurt has let him know, like, I'm on your ass, boy. All that stuff is going to be coming to a head very soon. I'm hoping that some of the more stale elements of this revival regarding the interaction between Harrison and Dexter start to at least get some more context, or at least kind of go into the background a little bit more. But I like the classic approach of this episode. So what do you guys think of Dexter episode 7? Let me know your thoughts down below. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button if you are a fan of Dexter. I've reviewed all the seasons previous to this one. I'm reviewing every single episode. So we still got 3 more reviews coming for this season. And then we have a ranking of all of the seasons and a ranking of all of the Dexter villains. So if you're a Dexter fan, don't miss any of that. Hit the subscribe button so you check it out when it drops. Thank you guys for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.